Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome to MathMads YouTube channel where learning math is made easier. Today's topic of discussion in the revision series of class 10 is triangles. To be very precise, it's similar triangles. Similar triangle carries the weightage of almost 9 marks distributed for MCQs 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks, or sometimes it is given for case study also. So let's begin. Similar triangles. From class 8 you have been studying about triangles. What is a triangle? It's a closed figure having 3 sides, 3 angles and 3 vertices. Is it right? But what are we studying? We are studying about similar triangles. Now, by just observing 2 triangles, how can you tell they are similar? You need information about 2 things. Which are those 2 things? You need information about the shape and you need information about size. Correct? Now, one thing here is compulsion. It should compulsorily be same. Which is that thing? Shape. Shape should be compulsorily same. But what happens to size? It can be same or it can be varied. So it is not necessarily, it should not be necessarily same. So similar triangles are said to be similar if they have same shape or same or different size. Now just read the underlined sentence here. Same shape and same size. I've heard it somewhere. Where have I heard it? In our lower classes, we have seen triangles which are having same shape and same size are called congruent triangles. Correct? Now the confusion will start. Okay? Just pause your confusion there itself. Let us try to understand what is the actual relation between congruent triangles and similar triangles. Now I'll just write congruent triangle and I'll write similar triangle. Okay? Now, here it is having same shape and same size. Here also is same. Correct? It is also having same shape and same size. So, all congruent triangles are similar triangles. But, will it work the other way around? Are all similar triangles congruent? Here there is only one compulsion, that is shape. Here, both of them are compulsion. So, the other way around, it will not work. Which means all similar triangles are not congruent triangles, but all congruent triangles are similar triangles. Since you have already studied congruent triangles, you also know the symbol. This was the symbol you used for congruent triangles. Now take this equal to and write the remaining thing. This is the symbol for similar. 3 things are very important for you as students in this chapter. The first one is observation. You have to observe each and every triangle very keenly. Also sometimes in the same figure, they will be given 2 triangles which you have to identify. The second one is comparison. Compare the correct side of the other triangle, the correct angle with the correct angle of the other triangle. The third thing which is very important is writing the order of similarity. Okay, because if you go wrong there, maybe you will end up in a wrong place. Okay, so with these 3 things, let us try to study the first important and the most significant thing in this chapter, that is basic proportionality theorem or Thales theorem. Now in theorem, statement is very important. I don't know how you try to remember it or you by heart it. Okay, if you're not getting it mathematically, try to build a story around it. Okay, now we are studying similar triangles chapter and basic proportionality theorem is a theorem in this chapter. So obviously we will need a triangle. Okay, let me consider a triangle, name it as A, B and C. Assume this as a house. Triangle ABC is a house in which 3 members are living. Which are those 3 members? AB, AC and BC. Okay, suppose a new guest enters into this house. Okay, let me draw that guest in the form of a line and let me name that guest as PQ. Okay, there will be at least one member in the house who does not want to meet that guest. Not only in the house but also in the future he does not want to meet him. Okay, so if I write this as a line, 2 lines which does not want to intersect here is called as parallel line. So which means this line is parallel to some line. Observe which is that line such that PQ is parallel to it. By just looking, we can make out that it is parallel to BC. So the first information which is given is PQ is parallel to BC. Now I can call this as a line parallel to what is BC? It's one side of a triangle. So line parallel to one side of a triangle. Okay, so since BC does not want to meet PQ, this is out. Which are the 2 remaining sides? AB and AC. Now AB and AC are going to face the consequence. What is the consequence? AB and AC are going to get divided in a same proportion. Okay, so your 2 pro will become A. Now the line is going to divide the sides. So AP by PB will be equal to AQ by QC. Okay, this is your theorem, basic proportionality theorem. So a line drawn parallel to one side of a triangle which intersects the other two sides at distinct points. Which are the distinct points at P and Q? Okay, divides the other two sides in the same proportion. This is your basic proportionality theorem. Now what happens if I want the converse of it? Converse means simple. Your given will become 2 pro and your 2 pro will become given. Simple thing. Okay. Now what will the statement be? If a line divides the two sides of a triangle in same proportion, then this line will be parallel to the third side. Simple. Okay. This is your basic proportionality theorem, and in the upcoming videos we'll solve more and more problems related to it. The second important thing in this chapter is criteria for similarity. Okay. Now to understand this in a better way, you have already learned congruency of triangles. You have seen how many postulates were there in congruency, right? The same thing will apply here also. Okay. Now, in a triangle, you will have sides. All triangles will have sides. And which is the other thing which the triangles will have? It will have angles, right? So, the criteria for two triangles to be called similar is the corresponding sides should be in proportion. Okay, the corresponding sides of triangle should be in proportion, and the second thing is the corresponding angles should be equal. Okay, now not every time all the corresponding sides and all the corresponding angles should be in proportion. Corresponding angles should be, not every time both of this have to be there. If you know corresponding sides, only this is enough. If you know corresponding angles are equal, this is enough. Okay, so there are 6 things in a triangle. We need just 3 things to prove that they are similar. Okay, let us see the first thing, but before that let me draw a triangle first. Okay, so let this be PQR, let this be B, C and D. Now the first criteria with respect to angles or based on angles, I'll consider it as AAA criteria if I know all the 3 angles, if I know the information of all the 3 triangles. Okay, angle P will be equal to angle B, angle Q will be equal to angle C, and angle R is equal to angle D. So 3 angles, AAA criteria. Now what if I know just 2 angles? Can I figure out the third angle? In a triangle, if I know 2 angles, can I figure out the third angle? Yes, it is possible. So using only 2 angles, also we can prove that the triangles are similar. That will be your AA criteria. Now this was with respect to the angles. Let us see what happens with respect to the sides. Okay, with respect to the sides, suppose you know 3 sides in a triangle and you come to know that they are in proportion, then you can call the two triangles as similar. Okay, so you can use the criteria of SSS. These 2 were based on sides. You have one based on these 2 were based on angles and you have one based on sides. Now let us include angles as well as sides. Okay, you have already learned this in congruency. The criteria is SAS. But in congruency, 2 sides and included angle should be equal. But here the 2 sides should be in proportion. That is the criteria. And the included angle should be equal. These are the 4 criterias. Now coming to writing the order, I told you have to write everything in order. So how do you write it in order? Suppose I consider this triangle is similar with respect to AAA criteria. Okay, you have to write the similarity in order based on sides. Is it correct? No, you have to write the similarity based on angles. Okay, so PQR, first write the first triangle. I have written it similar to triangle. Angle P is equal to which angle? Angle B. Write it down. Angle Q is equal to which angle? Angle C. Write it down. Angle R, the remaining thing, is equal to angle D. Okay, this is the order which you have to follow. You have to write the angle and which angle it is equal to. Okay, why? Because if I take the corresponding sides, you should get exactly the corresponding sides. How do you get the corresponding sides? Let me show that as well. PQ by BC will be equal to, I'll consider these 2 sides now, QR by CD, which is equal to, I'll consider these 2 sides now, PR by BD. This is the exact corresponding sides of the given two triangles.